Observer Gray stood at the main viewport of the survey ship, Celestial Documenter *, his four eyes blinking in sequence as he studied the blue-green planet below. As the leader of the Galactic Council's planetary survey team, he had visited thousands of worlds, but something about this one made his skin ripple with unease. "Primary scan complete, Senior Observer," announced Technical Officer Blue from her station. Her tentacles moved smoothly across the control panel, bringing up streams of data. But there must be some mistake. Gray moved to her station, his hover pads humming softly. "Explain." "The readings show extreme variations in temperature across the planet's surface, from -50 to +50 in their measurement units. And these readings," Blue's voice trembled slightly, "these can't be right. The planet appears to have active geological processes." "Active geological processes." Second Observer Brown nearly dropped his datapad. "But that would mean—" "Yes," Gray said, his voice steady despite his growing concern. "The planet is still evolving. Most concerning. The survey team had never encountered a planet that wasn't properly stabilized. All known civilized worlds had been carefully terraformed thousands of years ago to provide optimal living conditions. The idea of a planet still experiencing earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, and extreme weather patterns was almost unthinkable. But the surprises didn't end there. "Sir," called Life Sciences Officer Green from her research station, "you need to see these biodiversity readings. The planet has predators." She whispered the last word as if afraid someone might hear it. Gray moved to her station, his professional calm starting to crack. "How many species?" "Thousands, sir. And they eat each other." Green's skin had turned a pale shade of her namesake color. "There are organisms that actually chase down other organisms and consume them while they're still alive." The bridge fell silent. In the civilized galaxy, all species had evolved past the need for biological consumption centuries ago. They absorbed nutrients through specialized membranes, like all proper advanced beings should. "What about the dominant species?" Gray asked, dreading the answer. Brown pulled up more data on the main screen. "They call themselves humans. They appear to be bipedal mammals. And—" he paused, double-checking his readings. "Sir, they're persistence predators." "Impossible," Blue whispered. "No intelligent species would evolve from predators. The psychological damage alone." "These did," Brown continued. "They chase their prey until it collapses from exhaustion. They can regulate their body temperature through water excretion, allowing them to run for hours. And they—" He stopped, his skin turning almost white. "Continue." "Observer Brown," Gray ordered. "They eat almost anything, sir. Plants, animals, even substances that would be toxic to most species. They have special organs dedicated to breaking down foreign substances, and they do this 3 or 4 times every planetary rotation." Gray felt his inner organs clench. What kind of horrific world had they discovered? But as the leader of this survey mission, he had to maintain his composure. "Additional findings?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. "They sleep by becoming temporarily unconscious," Green added, her voice shaking. "Every day, they willingly fall into a state of paralysis and hallucinate for hours. And yet, they consider this normal. Their young require years of constant care before reaching maturity," Blue noted. "But instead of seeing this as a disadvantage, they form strong emotional bonds during this period, leading to complex social structures." Gray moved back to the viewport, staring at the swirling clouds covering the planet's surface. In all his years of planetary survey work, he had never encountered anything like this. A world of extreme temperatures, active geology, rampant predation, and a dominant species that seemed to thrive in these conditions. "Begin preparation of an emergency report to the Council," he ordered. "Classification recommendation. Extreme caution. This planet—" he paused, choosing his words carefully. This Earth requires immediate attention from the highest authorities. As the team began their work, Gray continued to watch the planet rotate below them. Somewhere down there, billions of these humans were going about their lives, eating their prey, sleeping their strange sleep, and somehow surviving in conditions that would drive any normal species to extinction. The galaxy had just become a much more frightening place. The survey ship's cloaking system made a sound that no advanced piece of technology should ever make. It sputtered. Senior Observer Gray felt his stomach drop as the ship's lights flickered and the familiar hum of the anti-detection field went silent. "Status report," he demanded, all four eyes fixed on Technical Officer Blue. "Multiple system failures, sir." Blue's tentacles moved frantically across her control panel. "The planet's magnetic field is interfering with our technology. We're becoming visible to their detection systems." "Impossible," Second Observer Brown muttered. "Our technology is foolproof." "Apparently not against this death world," Green replied, her skin turning a sickly pale color as she monitored the planet's defense systems. "They're already tracking us. Their primitive radar systems have locked onto our position." Gray made the quickest decision of his career. Emergency landing protocol. "Now, find us somewhere remote." The ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, fighting against what the humans called weather, another barbaric feature of this unstable planet. They found a clearing in something the humans called a forest, a dense collection of massive photosynthetic organisms that grew unchecked across vast areas. "Life support systems failing," Blue announced as they touched down. "We need to exit the ship." Gray felt his heart race. Exit the ship? On this death world? But they had no choice. The team donned their protective suits and stepped onto Earth's surface for the first time. The gravity was stronger than they were used to. The air, even through their filters, felt thick and heavy. And the sounds, constant, chaotic noise from countless organisms. "Remember your training," Gray instructed his team. "We observe only. No interaction with local life forms. We wait for the ship's systems to reset, then we—" A loud crack interrupted him. Something had stepped on a branch nearby. The team froze, their natural defense mechanism useless on a planet where things actually moved to hunt you. Through the trees emerged what their database identified as Ursus arctos, a brown bear. The massive creature stood on its hind legs, reaching a height that made the aliens feel like tiny prey animals, which Gray realized with horror they now were. "Nobody move," he whispered, remembering their xenobiologists' briefing about Earth predators. But the bear had already noticed them. It dropped to all fours and began moving toward them with frightening speed. "Run." Gray abandoned protocol entirely. His team scattered, their hover pads struggling against Earth's gravity. The bear chose to chase Green, who had stumbled on the uneven ground. What happened next would give the entire team nightmares for years. The bear caught up to Green with terrifying ease. She activated her personal shield, their last line of defense. The bear, impossibly, pushed through it. The shield, designed to stop energy weapons, had no effect against pure muscular power. Green screamed as the bear batted her with its paw, sending her protective suit's systems into chaos. She managed to teleport back to the ship at the last second, but the psychological damage was done. The rest of the team made it back as well, sealing themselves inside the vessel. They huddled together, their bodies shaking, as the bear lost interest and wandered away. "That?" Blue's voice quivered. "That was one of their non-sapient species, a wild animal." "And the humans," Brown added, checking their database. "They live alongside these creatures. They build cities knowing these things exist. Some of them even go out specifically to look at them. They call it wildlife watching." Gray was about to respond when they picked up new signals. Human vehicles were approaching their location, probably investigating their radar appearance. "The systems need 10 more minutes to reset," Blue reported. "Then we hide," Gray decided. "And we pray to the stars that we don't encounter any more of Earth's wildlife." or worse, the humans themselves. As they activated their remaining cloaking technologies, Gray began composing his report in his head. How could he explain to the Council that on this planet, even the non-sapient life forms were capable of defeating their most advanced defensive technologies? And if the wild animals were this terrifying, what did that say about the humans who dominated them? The sound of approaching vehicles grew louder, and somewhere in the forest, the bear roared again. Hidden beneath their remaining cloaking technology, the alien survey team watched as a group of humans set up what appeared to be temporary shelters in the clearing nearby. After their terrifying encounter with the bear, the team couldn't believe what they were seeing. They're deliberately sleeping outdoors, Green whispered in horror, still shaking from her earlier brush with death. In predator territory. Senior Observer Gray adjusted his scanning equipment, making sure they remained undetected. Look at their tools, he instructed his team. They're carrying weapons. The humans had indeed brought several items that the alien database classified as potential weapons: long metal sticks called rifles, shorter bladed tools called knives, and various other implements that could cause harm. Scans indicate those are projectile weapons, Technical Officer Blue reported quietly. They use controlled explosions to launch metal objects at high speed. She paused, her skin rippling with disbelief. They literally carry portable explosions for protection. The team watched in fascinated horror as the humans began their evening activities. One of them started gathering wood, actually breaking pieces off dead photosynthetic organisms, and placed them in a pile. What are they? Brown's question trailed off as one of the humans produced a small device and created fire. Actual fire. The team huddled closer together instinctively. They're deliberately creating a miniature sun, Gray observed, his scientific curiosity temporarily overcoming his fear. The database says they call this camping. They do this for recreation. The horrors were just beginning. The humans opened containers and removed various items, placing them near the fire. The smell that reached the alien sensors made their digestive membranes contract in revolt. They're exposing organic matter to extreme heat, Green reported, checking her instruments. The temperature of that fire is enough to kill most bacterial life forms. And they're going to eat it, Gray finished, his voice flat with shock. They're using temperature extremes to pre-process organic matter before consuming it. The team watched in silence as the humans cheerfully cooked their food, talking and making strange sounds that their translators identified as laughter. They seemed completely unconcerned about the dangerous conditions around them. New data incoming, Blue announced suddenly. I'm picking up their conversation. They're telling stories about something called ghost stories. The aliens listened through their translators as the humans began sharing tales specifically designed to trigger fear responses. They were deliberately scaring themselves. For fun. These beings, Brown said slowly, they not only survive in these conditions, they seek them out. They create fire, prepare food through heat exposure, and deliberately generate fear responses for entertainment. Their observations continued as night fell. The humans showed no sign of fear as darkness covered the forest. Instead, they continued their social bonding around the fire, occasionally making loud sounds that echoed through the trees. Temperature dropping rapidly, Blue reported, down to 10 degrees in their measurement system. They should be seeking proper shelter. But the humans simply put on additional layers of processed fiber coverings and continued their activities. When they finally did enter their shelters, flimsy structures made of synthetic materials, they seemed perfectly content. These beings, Gray said, making notes for his report, they don't just survive in extreme conditions. They've turned survival into a recreational activity. A distant wolf howl made the alien team jump, but the humans barely reacted. One of them actually smiled and said, "Nature's lullaby." Lullaby? Green asked, checking the translation. They used the sounds of predators as sleep aids. Gray stared at the human camp, his four eyes blinking rapidly as he processed what they'd witnessed. These humans didn't just coexist with the deadly conditions of their planet. They embraced them. They sought them out. They turned survival situations into entertainment. We need to update our report to the Council, he decided. These beings, they're beyond anything we've encountered. Any species that turns survival into recreation, that finds comfort in danger. They're not just adapted to their death world. They've mastered it. As if to emphasize his point, another wolf howled, closer this time. The humans in their shelters just kept talking and laughing, while the alien survey team huddled closer together, counting the minutes until their ship would be ready to return them to orbit. And safety. Back in the safety of deep space, Senior Observer Gray faced the most challenging task of his career. Explaining Earth to the Galactic Council. He sat at his desk, surrounded by floating holographic displays showing their collected data. His four eyes blinked rapidly as he began recording. Emergency report. Planet Earth. Sol system. Classification. Immediate Council attention required. He paused, gathering his thoughts. Council members, what I am about to share will challenge everything we know about survival and evolution. Technical Officer Blue had helped him organize the data into sections. He started with the basics. First, the planet itself defies all standard safety protocols. The surface experiences constant geological activity. The crust is broken into pieces that move and collide, causing violent upheavals. They call these earthquakes and volcanoes. But instead of evacuating these dangerous areas, humans build their cities there. They create structures designed to withstand these geological events. He played a video clip of a Japanese earthquake drill. They train their young to respond to these disasters. They have turned survival into an educational activity. Moving to the next section, Gray continued. Their atmosphere is equally hostile. They experience extreme weather phenomena called storms, where electricity fills the air and water falls from above. Some of these storms produce wind speeds that can destroy their structures. They call the worst ones hurricanes and tornadoes. He shuddered. And yet, they'd rebuild. Every time. Green had provided the next part of the report, the part that still gave him nightmares. The planet's biological systems are beyond horrific. Earth hosts millions of species, many of which exist solely to consume others. The humans, they sit at the top of this system. They are persistent predators who can outrun most other species through sheer endurance. He included their observation data from the forest. They don't just survive in predator-rich environments. They seek them out for recreation. They deliberately travel to dangerous areas, set up temporary shelters, and create controlled fires for entertainment. They tell stories designed to trigger fear responses, finding pleasure in their own fear. Brown's research formed the next section. Their physical adaptations are extraordinary and terrifying. They can repair broken bones, regenerate damaged skin, and fight off infections internally. They can survive the loss of entire limbs. Their bodies can adapt to extreme temperatures that would kill most species. Blue's technical analysis followed. Their technology reflects their nature. They build machines that make them even more dangerous. They've created vehicles that go faster than their planet's dominant predators, weapons that can strike from impossible distances, and protective systems that let them survive in almost any environment. Gray paused the recording, taking a moment to steady himself before the final section. But most terrifying of all is their psychological resilience. Humans don't just overcome disasters. They study them to prevent future ones. They don't just fight diseases. They deliberately expose themselves to weakened versions to build immunity. They intentionally push their limits, seeking out new challenges and dangers. He stood up, moving to the viewport to look at the distant stars. Council members, I must recommend Earth be classified as a Class D13 death world, the highest danger rating possible. But I must also note that its inhabitants, these humans, represent something we've never seen before. A species that doesn't just accept adversity, but actively seeks to master it. Gray returned to his desk for the conclusion. My final observation is this. We have always believed that advanced civilization requires a safe, stable environment. Earth proves we were wrong. These humans have built a thriving civilization precisely because nothing on their planet is safe or stable. They don't need perfect conditions. They adapt to and overcome imperfect ones. He added the last part with a slight tremor in his voice. The galaxy must be warned. A species this adaptable, this resilient, and this comfortable with adversity could either be our greatest nightmare or our greatest hope. End report. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council had never been so crowded. Representatives from over 1,000 worlds packed the circular room, their bodies filling every available space. Senior Observer Gray stood at the center platform, his report about Earth having caused the biggest panic in Council history. Order. We will have order. High Counselor Gold's voice boomed through the chamber. His crystalline form sparkled under the chamber's lights as he tried to calm the panicked representatives. They eat other life forms, shouted one delegate, their tentacles waving in distress. They sleep by becoming unconscious, yelled another. They live on an actively volcanic planet. Gold slammed his gravity hammer down, creating a wave of silence. We will discuss this matter properly, he said. Observer Gray, please provide your professional recommendation. Gray floated forward on his hover pad. Based on our observations, I recommend we establish a quarantine zone around the Sol system. The humans are already attempting space travel. They've reached their own satellite and are planning missions to nearby planets. This caused another uproar. Representative Crystal, from a peaceful gas giant civilization, spoke up. They're coming into space, while still being persistence predators. This is unacceptable. They must be contained, agreed Representative Stone, their rocky form grinding with worry. Any species that can chase prey until it dies from exhaustion is too dangerous to allow into the greater galaxy. But not everyone agreed. Representative Wave, whose water-based civilization had faced many challenges, raised a different point. Have we considered their potential as allies? A species this adaptable could help us solve problems we've never been able to handle. Problems. Representative Dust practically exploded with light particles. They are the problem. Did you not see the part about them deliberately seeking out dangerous situations for fun? They call it extreme sports. The debate continued to heat up. Some representatives wanted to build a containment field around Earth's solar system. Others suggested making diplomatic contact to guide humanity's development. A few even proposed immediate military action, though these voices were quickly silenced as going against Council principles. What about their technology? Asked Representative Spark, their electrical form flickering with interest. They've advanced remarkably fast for such a young civilization. Gray brought up a holographic display. Their technological progress is concerning. In just a few hundred years, they've gone from simple tools to digital technology. They're already developing artificial intelligence, though it's primitive by our standards. And they did this while surviving regular natural disasters. Gold asked, his crystalline structure dimming with concern. No, Gray corrected. They did this because of the disasters. Every challenge makes them innovate. Every problem pushes them to find new solutions. They have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. This caused a thoughtful silence in the chamber. The idea that adversity could drive progress was foreign to most galactic civilizations who had evolved in carefully controlled environments. There's more, Gray continued. They're incredibly social creatures. They form deep bonds, not just with their own kind, but with other species. They keep predators as companions, calling them pets. They risk their lives to save complete strangers. They have organizations dedicated to helping other species survive. The chamber erupted in confused discussions. The concept of voluntarily helping other species survive was as alien to them as the human's ability to eat almost anything. High Counselor Gold raised his hand for silence. We face an unprecedented situation. Never in our history have we encountered a species that evolved naturally on such an extreme world. The question before us is not just about containing them. It's about understanding them. Gray nodded in agreement. The humans have a concept they call survival of the fittest, but they've changed what fittest means. For them, it's not just about being the strongest or fastest. It's about being the most adaptable, the most innovative, and sometimes the most cooperative. As the debate continued into its fifth hour, one thing became clear. The galaxy would never be the same now that they knew about Earth and its terrifying inhabitants. As the Council's heated debate about Earth entered its second day, a quiet figure had been watching from the highest tier of the Grand Chamber. Ambassador White was one of the oldest members of the Galactic Council, his pale, translucent form barely visible against the chamber's white walls. He hadn't spoken a word during the entire debate, but now he slowly descended to the central platform. The chamber fell silent. When the Ancient One spoke, everyone listened. "My fellow beings," White's voice was soft, but reached every corner of the room. "I have watched this debate with great interest, but there is something you all need to know about our own history." He waved his hand, and the chamber's holographic system displayed an ancient star map. "What you see here is our galaxy as it existed 50,000 years ago. Notice anything different?" The representatives studied the map. High Counselor Gold was the first to speak. "There are fewer habitable worlds than now." "Correct." White nodded. "Much fewer. In fact, most of the worlds you all call home didn't exist as they do today. They were very different places. Some were too hot, others too cold. Many had toxic atmospheres or unstable crusts." A murmur of confusion spread through the chamber. Representative Crystal spoke up. "But our historical records show our worlds have always been perfect for life." "Your records," White said gently, "were altered. A decision made by our ancestors to help future generations develop without fear." He changed the display to show various planets. "The truth is, most of your homeworlds were terraformed. Our ancient civilization discovered the technology to make worlds safe and stable. We changed atmospheres, stabilized planetary crusts, eliminated dangerous species, and created perfect environments for life to evolve." The chamber erupted in shocked whispers. Senior Observer Gray stepped forward. "But Earth," White nodded, "is what a natural world looks like. It's what most worlds looked like before we changed them. The humans evolved the way nature intended, through challenge and adaptation." The revelation hit the council like a physical force. Gold's crystalline form flickered with emotion. "Are you saying we're the unusual ones? That our perfect worlds are artificial?" "Yes," White answered. "In our desire to create safe environments for life, we forgot something important: the role of challenge in evolution. Earth's humans are remarkable not because they're especially dangerous, but because they're natural. They're what life looks like when it has to fight to survive." He brought up images from Gray's report. Humans helping each other during disasters, exploring dangerous places, solving complex problems. "Look at them closely. Yes, they're persistence predators. Yes, they can eat almost anything. Yes, they seek out challenges for fun. But they're also incredibly cooperative, innovative, and adaptable." Representative Wave's liquid form rippled with understanding. "That's why they advance so quickly. Every challenge forces them to adapt or innovate." "Precisely," White agreed. "While we've been living in carefully controlled environments, they've been facing real challenges and finding real solutions. Their technology isn't just advancing. It's being tested against actual problems." Gray spoke up again. "In our report, we noted their psychological resilience. They don't just survive hardship, they learn from it. And that," White said, "is what makes them truly remarkable. Not their physical capabilities or their predatory nature, but their ability to face challenges and grow stronger from them." The chamber was quiet now. Every representative lost in thought about this revelation. Their perfect worlds, their safe existence, it had all been engineered. The humans, in their dangerous, unstable world, were the natural ones. So, High Counselor Gold finally asked, "What do we do with this knowledge?" White's form glowed softly. "Perhaps instead of asking how we can protect ourselves from them, we should be asking what we can learn from them. After all, they've achieved in a few thousand years what took us tens of thousands to accomplish with technology. And they did it the hard way, through persistence, adaptation, and cooperation." The council members looked at each other, seeing their comfortable existence in a new light. The humans weren't the galaxy's nightmare. They were a reminder of what life could achieve when faced with real challenges. The final day of the council meeting began with a different atmosphere than before. After Ambassador White's revelation about their own history, the representatives looked at the holographic image of Earth with new eyes. It was no longer just a death world. It was a glimpse into their own forgotten past. Senior Observer Gray stood at the central platform one last time. "Based on all evidence and discussion, we must now officially classify planet Earth and its inhabitants." High Counselor Gold nodded. "Proceed with the classification." Gray activated his datapad. "Planet Earth is hereby classified as Class D13. Extreme Death World. This is the highest danger rating ever given to an inhabited planet." He paused, then continued. "However, I propose we add a special note to this classification." The chamber waited in silence as Gray carefully chose his words. "While Earth is extremely dangerous by our current standards, it represents a natural evolutionary path. Its inhabitants, the humans, are not monsters. They are survivors. They have achieved through natural evolution what we achieved through technology." Representative Wave moved forward. "I propose we add a secondary classification. Strategic Potential Asset. Any species that can turn survival into recreation clearly has much to teach us." "Agreed," said Representative Crystal, who had initially been one of the most fearful voices. "Their ability to adapt and innovate could help us solve problems we've never been able to handle." High Counselor Gold raised his gravity hammer. "We shall vote on the final classification. The options are: 1. Pure quarantine. No contact allowed. 2. Limited observation. Continue studying from a distance. 3. Diplomatic initiative. Prepare for first contact. 4. Full integration. Invite them to join the Galactic Council." The voting process took less than an hour, record time for such a major decision. The results appeared on the main display. Quarantine, 12%. Observation, 15%. Diplomatic initiative, 23%. Full integration, 50%. Gold's crystalline form sparkled with approval. "The Council has spoken. Earth and humanity will be offered full membership in the Galactic Council, with certain safety protocols in place." Gray stepped forward again. "I recommend we prepare a special document for Earth's eventual contact package. We should be honest about our reactions to them, but also explain why these very traits make them valuable to the galaxy." Ambassador White nodded in agreement. "Yes, they should know that while we find them terrifying by our standards, we also admire their resilience. Perhaps we can learn to be a little more like them, and they can learn to be a little less frightened of peace." The final classification document was prepared, complete with warning labels and invitation. Galactic TONCL Classification Document. Planet Earth, Sol System. Primary Classification. Class D13, Extreme Death World. Secondary Classification. Strategic Potential Asset. Inhabitant. Status. Natural Evolution Species. Approach with extreme caution. Planet features active geological processes, extreme weather variations, abundant predator species, naturally evolved intelligent life. Inhabitant. Notable traits. Extraordinary adaptability. High psychological resilience. Advanced problem-solving capabilities. Strong cooperative tendencies. Rapid technological advancement. Common CL decision. Full integration approved. Species to be offered Galactic Council membership. Cultural exchange programs to be established. Technology sharing protocols to be developed. Safety protocols to be maintained. Special note. While Earth's conditions and its inhabitants may seem terrifying by current galactic standards, they represent a natural and valuable evolutionary path. The human's ability to thrive in conditions we engineered away from our own worlds marks them as potentially vital allies in facing future challenges. A puro HFY autocycle. Professional respect recommended. These beings have achieved through natural evolution what most of us achieve through technological intervention. They are not to be underestimated or patronized. As the document was finalized, Gray looked out at the Earth's image one last time. "We came looking for dangerous aliens," he said quietly, "and instead we found a mirror to our own forgotten past. Perhaps that's the most terrifying discovery of all." High Counselor Gold brought down his hammer one final time. "Let the record show. Earth is officially the most terrifying planet in the galaxy, and its inhabitants are officially our most anticipated new allies."